There's not very much more seductive and exciting than someone who is truly enjoying themselves. Pleasure is seductive. Hey, you. Thanks for tuning in. Just a quick heads up, this episode is rated R, so expect that there will be some language that you may not want your kids to hear, lots of adult topics, and quite possibly some explicit conversations about sex. This episode is probably not safe for work, though, I guess it depends on where you work. Welcome to Pleasure Central Radio, the place to rethink the assumptions we don't even realize we are making that keep us from getting what we truly want out of work, life, and love. Here is your sneak peek into an authentic, pleasure-focused conversation. All right, Eli, welcome to Pleasure Central Radio.
It's a pleasure, Rebecca.
This is really fun. I'm really happy to have you in the studio today. And I am excited to be doing another Vibrate Moments episode. I haven't done one of these in a while. And you and I have both had pretty fantastic weeks. So I'm psyched that you were willing to come and share some of your bright moments from the week with me. And we'll just probably go when you go in, I'll go when you go in.
Absolutely. So.
And I said I'll go on, but do you want to go first?
Yeah, definitely. It has been such a transformative week for me. It was an incredibly emotional weekend last weekend, but in a very positive way, such that just coming into this new week, I felt this renewed sense of vigor in life, and things are really looking up for COVID as far as things ending and all of that. And yeah, now it seems like, all these opportunities are presenting themselves to me and to just the world again. And yeah, I feel like this past week I've been able to just seize those in the best way possible. And yeah, the first really bright moment of this past week. For background, I moved out to the Seattle area back in August of 2019. I had come from a smaller town out in eastern Washington, and Seattle is located just across the mountains. And I had reached a point in my life where I want to go back to the big city, and I just want to remake my life and just try all these new things and go on new adventures. And so one of those was getting into dance. And yeah, I'd been thinking about it years prior, but just never had worked up the nerve for it. And coming out here, for one, since I moved out here, I also just took this gigantic fitness voyage, and the results, to me, they speak for themselves. I have completely transformed physically. I'm so much more in touch with my body, just have such better endurance and just have such better connection that, yeah, wanting to do dance, it seems like the perfect opportunity at this moment. And finally, I did a dance course for the first time this week. So it is her name is Sarah Rose. She has been on the podcast a couple of times before, and she is a local dance instructor. She also does something called gyrotonic, which I believe she has explained before on the podcast. Yes, for those who aren't familiar, it's a movement class routine that emphasizes fluidity and connection with the various muscles and the various connections between those muscles that permeate your body. And yeah, I had been doing those with her for about 2 months. And at the same time, I also knew that she taught tango, and I also knew that gyro is it's very much focused on fluidity, which is great for dance. And so I'd always had in the back of my mind, I'm going to transition this into tango at some point. And yeah, I'd spoken with her about a week and a half ago, and yeah, and said just, hey, this week, let's do it. Let's have a first tango session. And it was a few days ago, and I had a really amazing time. Just all the prep work I'd done with gyro, helped me feel really connected to my body, helped me really appreciate the connection with other people's bodies as well, because the actual course, and we focused on very basic dance movements, the 3 fundamentals as she described them, feet positioning, rocking back and forth and all of that. And I just covered getting comfortable with dancing by myself. But then we also did partner dance, intro to partner dancing. And she had a really good intro exercise where we just stood in place, we put our hands on each other's shoulders, and we just rocked back and forth very gently. And I just got a feeling for, as she described it, basically just rooting yourself in the other person. I have my hand on your shoulder. Okay, I'm sensing that. Start moving back and forth. Oh, I'm feeling you shifting your weight in your hips. And for too long, I'm feeling where your feet are and which one you're putting your weight on. And it was just like this magical experience for how quickly like that all came together. And we took all of that into the rest of the partner dance practice. And yeah, it was just such a fun, like, new experience. I danced before, just individually at parties and stuff like that, but I never done, like, full-on partner dancing. And so even just this intro, just that connection and the improvisational aspect of tango as well, where you have the lead and the follow, and the lead kind of improvises kind of what to do as far as coordinating movements. It's all very exciting. But yeah, like, I'm so glad that I have finally embarked on this. And my first experience was really good. I've been practicing by myself like ever since then, and I'm really excited to see where this goes.
Wow. Oh, I'm so excited for you too. I love tango, and I love Sarah. She's such a fun dancer. I'm really excited. I get to take a lesson with her soon, too.
Lovely.
And I echo your excitement that things seem to be getting better, and tango seems to be around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
My regular tango partner is getting his vaccine, it sounds like, so we might get to dance together for the first time in over a year. And I haven't tangoed. Actually, I have tangoed once. I tangoed once with Bradley a couple of weeks ago for 2.5 minutes. I was like, oh shit, we gotta do more of this, hon, come back. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I texted him last night to hang out, because I thought it'd be fun. He's such a fun dancer. He's such a fun person. My first bright moment is, I know. I was in this mighty networks called the Unmistakable Creative. And it's a really cool community. It's run by Srinivas Rao. And he had put in there a question like, hey, I'm usually giving you guys advice, but I thought I would ask for advice. How would you get more listeners on your podcast? I said, seduction. Seduce your listener. There's not very much more seductive and exciting things than someone who is truly enjoying themselves. Pleasure is seductive. And so I started trying to explain this in the comments, and he replied, and we started this little conversation about the Art of Seduction book. The bright moment and how it ended was the host of the group invited me to come and teach a 1 hour workshop on seduction for his group, so that that'd be cool. I would love to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I would totally teach seduction.
Oh, that's so wonderful.
To creative people.
Not a workshop that I imagine many creatives have ever actually considered.
Maybe they should, though, huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you're just the person to show them the way. And that's very wonderful, Rebecca. Since I moved here, I've been just at one job, and it's been fine for what it was. And yeah, it's been a steady income, not too bad a place to work, like during all of this lockdown stuff. But over the past week, it occurred to me, okay, I think it's time that I moved on. And yeah, this past week, I started sending out resumes again, and was very surprised at like how quickly I started getting responses, to the point where, some people some companies that I put it out to were just scheduled interviews for me within the following couple of days. And just in my experience with this current employer over this past year, it's really given me a lot more clarity on what I really value in my job, in my career. Yeah, so for a little more context, I am in software. And so one thing I really love, or one thing that I really get a lot of joy out of, is being able to dabble across basically in front of the scenes and behind the scenes. I really like setting up systems that talk to each other and work in concert and produce a cool product. But at the same time, I really get a jolt of pleasure from getting the visual aspect as well, designing a good menu or designing a good website or that sort of thing. And yeah, making something that looks beautiful aesthetically, that people really find a lot of pleasure in using, and just if they like using it and I bring that pleasure into their life day to day, that's a special point of pride. And so yeah, the stuff that I've worked on at this company, the best stuff has been those projects that incorporate both of those. And yeah, I know more strongly than ever that yes, the next job that I will find needs to have both of those elements. And I'm in a very good position to make sure that's what I'll get. Yeah?
Wow, Eli. That is so cool. And I love hearing all of the movements of your job, and for some reason the feeling that I'm left with is the feeling that I had when we went to the Chihuly Art Museum.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Like wandering through the art museum, seeing all of this gorgeous art, watching this man who has turned his creative passion into not only an income for himself, but an entire industry and a segment of the art world expression.
Mm-hmm.
Which is pretty cool. That's a pretty big impact. For some reason, I don't know how those two are connected in my brain, but your new job search and that feeling of satisfaction of art and beauty and abundance and art all in one place, all in one space, concentrated with sunshine and hope and springtime. It was intoxicating.
I can see that. And yeah, for me, like, the connection that I make is art brings, like, a special kind of pleasure into people's lives. So when they take it in, when they've got just their regular day going on, and they look over at a painting or a little sculpture that they have, and they just admire it and go, wow, a person made that. A person had an idea, and, through the dexterity and the skill that they built up over their life, they've built up over their life, have made this a thing of beauty. And yeah, I'm just able to just take in this moment and appreciate it. To me, I think they're for really good visual design that is really attentive to users' needs, or has fun little aesthetic flares here and there. It's fun to look at and fun to use. Yeah, I think there's something similar there. Even for something mundane, doing spreadsheets or whatever, if it's actually with a nice visual design to it, people can step back and go, oh, they really put a lot of thought and effort into making this look nice.
Okay, so something really cool happened this week. I developed this really amazing relationship with one of my metamors. I was having a hard time on last weekend, going through some emotional ups and downs, and needed a sister vibe or something. And I also had woken up that morning, Sunday morning, thinking, man, I want company, I want fresh air, and I want good food. And so I had invited one of my metamors over for brunch. She was on her way over. We eat really similar food, and I was cooking for us. So I don't remember what I made, but it was delicious. It was cubed sweet potatoes fried and bacon grease with kale and and eggs on top over easy. It was an omelet maybe, an omelet with arugula. I don't remember, but it was delicious. And it was so fun to be cooking for somebody and with somebody, and to have that connection with her. And we've always been very friendly since we first met, and Tom is the partner that brings us together, but we hang out when he's not around quite often now, and it's pretty fun. And then not only did she come over for breakfast and keep me company and entertain me, but then we went and we looked in my closet, and she is a fantastic stylist, and so she helped me take all the clothes out of my closet, put it on, tell me what looks great on me, what doesn't, what to look for in new clothes, what colors to look for, what fit and flare styles to look for. It was just so fun. And then she sent me off with, okay, go and shop for this. Go onto these websites and look for these kinds of things. Find out what designers you like best. So I did. I went out and I did all the homework. And then she happened to be moving this week, and so I got to offer to help her move. I didn't have any other appointments. I didn't have anything else I had to do. So I offered to help her move and got to drive her car to her new house, since she doesn't have a driver's license yet. And it's a fun car. I enjoy that. And then got to hang out with her and spend the first night in her new house there with her, because the first night in a new place is always a little different. You hear all these noises and you're trying to figure out what's going on, and when things aren't quite the way you want them to yet, then it feels kind of anxiety producing. And just getting to be there with her and hang out with her dogs was fun for me. I think it was helpful for her, but it was fun for me. And her puppies are so cute and well behaved. They're just little puddles of love, and they lick my face. I remember I woke up in the middle of the night, the first night. I wasn't planning on spending the night, but I woke up in the middle of the night, and then we're both laying on the couch, and one of the dogs has got its head buried in my armpit, and so its breathing is tickling my arm. And it was such a joy to wake up to that, because I've been in my apartment alone for almost a year, really. Well, not entirely alone. Quite a lot alone for 9 months. And I know you have too. I know you went this is.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of people do.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people have no idea why we're sitting here whining about being alone and how hard it is to be alone. They're like, come on.
I've got kids and got, like partners and everything like that. So what are you complaining about?
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. It's different for all of us, but.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I have met this metamor, and her looking through. I was just laughing over here while you were describing looking through your closet, and she's just assessing like how things look on you, and just this works for you, this doesn't, and yeah, that is totally her, and I can just picture it perfectly, like the two of you doing that.
And the thing is, she's really good at it. It's one thing when someone tries to take over your wardrobe and tells you what to wear, but it's another thing when they give you advice, and then you go to Nordstrom the next day like I did, and I find this amazing dress for $50. It's pink, it's structured, it's beautiful, it fits the way I want it to fit, and I look fucking hot. And it shows off all of my best features all at once, and so it's been 7 days since I bought it, 6 days since I bought it. I've worn it 5 of those 6 days.
You do look amazing in it, so
thank you.
I totally see why.
Thank you. And so that's not the end. Like, we've had so much fun together this week, and maybe it'll continue with this close relationship, maybe not, but what's cool is that now we have this basis of mutual appreciation and understanding. And I think we learned things about each other that helped open our minds to even more grace and experience. Yeah, I'm really excited by that.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will also admit she has helped me a little bit in looking around for new wardrobes, and has opened my eyes to things I had not considered before. She has helped me update my wardrobe as well, and she is such a font of good advice, even for like stuff that I had never realized before with just like my looks, my hair color, and all of that I was actually a spring. Like, I'd always gravitated towards like blues, but she really called out to me like, no, you should really go for light blues and like light greens and everything like that. And since then, yeah, that's just what I've been looking for, and I feel like it has totally revolutionized the way I dress. And I feel like I look so much better in everything that she suggested. So.
You do look sharp in your new pieces. I have seen them, and I approve.
Oh, thank you.
My pleasure.
Mm-hmm. But no, that actually segues really nicely into my third bright moment. So this past week, with the weather getting a lot better in the Pacific Northwest, and with COVID looking like it might finally be, the end might be on the horizon, people are actually going out and doing outdoor stuff again. And I realized within the last couple of weeks that, oh yeah, like people are actually going out and doing hiking again. And that was one of the things I'd vowed to do, like when I moved over here, was to actually get into the hiking scene, because, oh my God, I just love the scenery out here so much. There's just like such variety, all the green, like all the mountains, all the water views, and just I love it, and I want to take so much advantage of it. And
you sound just like me, moving from the desert when I was 19, going, oh my God, it's so green, everything is so interesting over here. You have rainforest?
Totally agree. Like, in my case, I was coming from a place that was mostly like arid, and just it's fine for what I was. At least we're along the water, but yeah, it's just like a totally different world out here. And yeah. When I moved, I had done a bit of hiking before all the lockdown stuff started, but unfortunately, like the groups that I was doing it with put everything on hold once things started to close down. And so, yeah, within this past couple of weeks, when I realized like, oh, we can actually start going out and doing this again, it also occurred to me like, oh, I don't actually have any dedicated hiking gear, and I'm in a position now where, yeah, I can actually just go out and shop for them. And so, yeah, over the past couple of days, I've just been going out to REI and just like shopping around for all the stuff that, or make for a really good hiking experience, especially in the mountains, which was where I'm planning to go for like my first hiking experience. So just like shopping around for like, really practical pants made out of nylon. So like they're pretty easy to, they dry pretty quickly, getting some like additional layers. I'm like getting a new jacket, like a new rain jacket, also getting like an actual like hiking backpack. And then the one I wound up getting will not only be great for hiking, but like camping like later on, which I'm also hoping to delve into. And yeah, It's the fun of clothes shopping where there's the element of your aesthetic in it where, you're like picking out the colors, you're picking out the style that really matches you. And then thankfully, fitting rooms have started to open up again. I was able to actually try them on, mix and matching. Okay, this is what I want. But it's also mixed with the element of the practical because, this is the stuff that's going to keep me comfortable and make my experience much more enjoyable out hiking. And so I had a lot of fun just mixing those two elements while out shopping around for this hiking gear these past couple of days. And it's always so much fun when I can, when I'm able to say, this is in my budget, I'm going to do it. And now I have a wonderful hikes to look forward to.
By the way, that new rain jacket that you got, great color on you. Fantastic. It looks amazing.
Also a spring, a very light blue that I wonder where I got that idea from. So.
Yeah. Well understood. Way to go. I have been really enjoying cooking lately, and it's in that in-between time between when my chefs bring a whole bunch of food and so my refrigerator is full and anything that I cook will end up sitting for a couple of days before it gets finished. So I try not to cook very much, and then the food runs out or gets closer to running out, and now I either want to be using the pieces that they made and putting them together in different ways to get new flavors, or I've just eaten all of one or two things and now I'm trying to figure out how to use the last couple ones and keep my body in tip-top shape. But it's fun. There's a certain amount of creativity to it. And I've been going to the market recently, to the farmer's market, and it's so nice to have really good food and to have really interesting people around. And the markets are open air, so they feel really comfortable, really safe, very refreshing and rejuvenating. There's always flowers there. I don't always get myself a bunch of flowers, but I often do, just so that I have something to set on the table. Or this week, two other people got me some flowers. One that was this fragrant lily that smelled amazing, and another one was a small thing of tulips that just sat on my table so well.
Aww.
Yeah, in both cases, it meant a lot to me, and it was very pretty. But getting to have that connection with the market, that rhythmic connection with my food, observing it and observing how it flows with my calendar and everything else, has been really pleasurable. I guess it probably sounds puzzling if you don't know what I'm talking about, but maybe you do. Maybe you can get a sense of it. Because for me, it's intimately knowing my own body, to know my rhythms like that. To know the rhythms of my mind and how I want to be moving through my day. Anyway, there's my deep, pleasurable moment.
No, there are so many pleasurable just elements and all of that. Between cooking, knowing your body well enough that this is what I like most, and this is what I know is nutritious for me, and this is what I know gives me the most pleasure when I eat. And then just being able to pull that together and have a really nice meal, and you have such a lovely dining space set up as well where you're able to amplify the experience even further. And I know for me, positives that have come out of this pandemic, just finally sitting down and really learning cooking has been one of them. And how much I've enjoyed it, and just the pleasure and just the satisfaction it has brought me has been really gratifying. Over this past year, I've vastly widened the array of dishes I'm able to prepare. I've prepared a number of my favorite meals, that I really love. I really love a variety of soups, for instance, and one of my favorites is just traditional Japanese style ramen. And so one of my big milestones from last year was the moment I you know what, I'm gonna make this. It's not too complicated, and there's nothing stopping me. So I just made a couple of bowls of that, and just really enjoyed it. And just there's that special connection with food. And just, especially if you make it, where it just triggers that feeling of nourishment in your body, both on a physical level, but, even on an emotional, spiritual level, especially if you've made it. I'm enjoying something that I have put my kind of heart and soul into, and making a really good experience out of it.
That is so cool. Yeah, that is really cool. See, that just adds to mine, and it reminds me. So one of the things I did this week is I made a bison stew in my Instant Pot. And it's my own concoction. It's something that's got nothing in it that is not on my eat list, which is pretty complicated. But it's so nourishing and refreshing, and I happened to make it for me and my metamor when I knew we were going to be hanging out, and probably not really having access to a kitchen, so something that we could heat up would just be really good. So I made some food for us to fuel us during the move and brought it with me, and it was nice because I knew it was going to be fuel for both of us. It was going to be food that our bodies would be happy with, and that was just lovely. And it reminds me of something that I've picked up recently, that especially when I'm going to the market, it feels like I'm eating the way my grandmothers ate, and so somehow I have a deeper connection with them. Sounds ridiculous, feels really cool.
Not at all. Like, I totally get that. Yeah. There's the idea, actually, like, I remember us talking about this a while ago, but with like me picking up cooking and just like getting in much more into nutrition and fitness over the last year, like, it has dawned on me, just like eating better, shifting out so much, processed crap and like all of that from my diet, and just like eating a lot more stuff that's natural, eating a lot more stuff that, is not at all processed. I notice in myself that I just feel so much better on every level. Oh, I'm actually eating something that human beings were meant to eat, that was good for my, my father, like my parents, for my grandparents, their parents, and et cetera, like down the line. And yeah, there's that, as you said, there's that wonderful connection just like through food that you feel like, oh, like I'm eating something that even just like a thing of blueberries, people in prehistoric times were eating these too. Yeah, it gives you appreciation for that continuity of, humanity. So no, it is not weird at all, Rebecca, that you feel that way.
Awesome. I'm glad you agree. So, I think I mentioned to you that Healing Family Systems package that Heather Maccabee has been doing. I've been working with her for over 2 years, privately, personally, myself. And wow, I get so much value out of our sessions. So I signed up for this 21 sessions in 7 weeks. Mm-hmm. Very intensive package for Healing Family Systems. And I did the first the week before last week. And then this week, I had a break the whole week. She was on vacation. So it was really interesting to see how I integrated just those 3 sessions. And 2 of them were so powerful, I still remember what came out of them. But a lot of it was about seeing certain patterns that I don't have to continue anymore, which is powerful when you can see your own patterns and then laugh at them, and now they have no power over you anymore. And that was really cool. But how it played out, how I integrated it into my life this week was really impressive. I'm really proud of myself. I'm proud of the way I stood up for what I believed in, and stood up for integrity and stood up for myself, and the way that I was so kind, and yeah, just being as authentic and real as I can. And that means something to me. The fact that I was able to do that pretty consistently all week long impresses me.
That's wonderful. Yeah, you've talked to me about her courses, the sessions that you've done together, and just like the way that it's helped you in your personal life, just all the episodes that you've gone through, and just like all of the closure it's brought to you over the major events of your life that have happened this last year. It sounds really wonderful, and I'm so very glad that you've had that help and that it has been such a positive outlet for you.
I have my next session tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I'm excited.
So for my fourth brightest moment, this is a couple of days ago. As part of this feeling of the lockdown finally coming to an end, it occurred to me, like, you know what? I really need to reach out and like reconnect with the people that I had met and the people that I really value, like since I moved here. And I wound up reaching out to a coworker that I had not met in person in well over a year. We had chatted over text a couple of times, but yeah, I had not actually seen him in person since late 2019, early 2020. And this coworker occupies a special place because he's actually the one that interviewed me for my current job. And yeah, he was the first person that I worked with on one of the projects. And he's just like a super cool guy. He's very laid back. He's very open-minded, like very, very chill, and just like really fun to hang out with, and like really cool to work with as well. And yeah, we did a pretty decent amount of like stuff after work, and I was super happy to before the lockdown started. And like once 2020 happened, we sadly kind of lost touch. And so this past week, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to reach out to this guy again. I had found out that he had moved. And yeah, he has like a new place kind of a ways out of downtown Seattle, but still like it's located like along. So there's several lakes and like around Puget Sound area inland. The big one is Lake Washington. And yeah, he has a house that looks right out on it. And yeah, it's just like in this very quaint, like cozy residential neighborhood. And I head out there a couple of days ago, spend the evening, and yeah, just have a really good time. Like I get a tour of the place. So he lives there with his partner, and that little dog, which I will cover in a few moments also. But yeah, it's really spacious. And as soon as they moved in, like not too long ago, and just like immediately started doing renovations, like I think they said this house was built in the 50s. And so some like white tiling suggests a little bit of an older look, but like with the renovations they've been doing, it still looks, like modern and like accommodating. And like they had done like a ton of work like in the kitchen to make it more open and just inviting. And they had like completely redone like all the ceiling, and just like the amount of work that they did despite being there for a brief amount of time is quite impressive. When they were just talking to me about like the other stuff that they had planned, like I was not aware of this, but so they gave me the tour. Like they showed everything upstairs, and look over and see like a stairway leading down to the basement. I'm like, oh, and see the basement as well, just a little nook down there. And so we go down there, and it's like this entire floor. Like they have a ton of space down there. And yeah, just it was really fun to like tour their place and just hear all the plans that they had for it. And yeah, and being able to connect with him again was so cool. And we immediately clicked, and just talking about shared work experience and everything like that. We got started on like travel and stuff like that. And eventually at one point I started out just talking to him, and his partner was off doing a course of some kind, and then she wound up joining the conversation later on. And I felt I connected with her like super well also. And so we started like bonding over travel. Like all of us had been to Japan, for instance, and Japan is one of my favorite places that I've ever traveled. Like I spent most of my time in Tokyo, but it is such a city full of marvels. And so we were connecting over just like all the cool stuff that you can see over there. And we were talking about just like all the different like shopping districts, and just like taking the subway, going out into the countryside, and seeing like different shrines, and just we had a really nice moment of connection there. And yeah, we just kept chatting into the evening, and their dog was also incredibly cute. On the subject of cute dogs that really add to the ambiance, they have a tiny, I think it's a Pomeranian, but it's like the smallest thing. That dog seemed to take to me immediately. Like it greeted me at the door and just could not keep away from me like that entire evening. And yeah, I just sat in my lap and I was able to pet it. Like I was chatting all evening, and it was so nice. Like it had been several months since I had actually been able to just enjoy the company of a small animal like that. It was just a very enriching evening, and it was so cool to connect with them again, and hoping I'll be able to do more of it.
My next bright moment. This feels like a small thing, but it is not for me. Years ago, I taught myself double entry accounting by using NewCash, which is an open source accounting app like QuickBooks, except it was open source and installed on Linux. And so I taught myself that using the help files when I was in my 19, 20, 21 years old. So I taught myself double entry accounting, which doesn't sound that exciting, but for me, it is. For me, numbers matter. Numbers are exciting. And when I can corral the numbers or understand the numbers, then I can manipulate them and play with them and make them do cool things. I can make them dance, and I can make them buy me cool shit. I like numbers. I like having a budget, but for a long time, it was in a spreadsheet and it was clumsy. And then along came this app called YNAB. You need a budget. YNAB. YNAB. Such a cool app. I learned about this, I don't remember, 4 or 5 years ago. It's been a while. And for a few years, I was relying on it every day. About a year and a half ago, the direct import from my bank personally broke. And it hasn't been fixed since, until this week. All of a sudden, it's fixed. It's working. So I had actually sat down with a mentor of mine and created a plan for what I was going to be doing this week. And the thing is, like, the first hour of every day, I got to do the hard thing. As long as I do the hard thing in the first hour, the rest of my day will feel different. So that's what I've been doing the hard thing. And one of the hard things was budgeting, because I haven't had access to this app in a year and a half. I've been terrified about the future for a year and a half. Mm-hmm. Maybe not a year and a half. Anyway, but yeah, so now I'm calming down about it. I'm coming to a place where I can actually sit and look at it. And the app starts working. I'm able to use it the way it was intended. And so now, I don't know, I just feel a lot of hope and excitement about the financial side of my life, and that's really cool. Yeah, because making plenty of money is easy, but corralling it and making it do what I want it to do when I want it to do is a little bit more challenging. This app makes it so much easier, so I'm really happy to have it back.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And yeah, a good financial foundation opens so many doors. Like I said, with like clothing, once I realized like, oh, this is my budget, I was able to go out and buy some clothes that really look good on me and help me present myself to the world in a completely different light. And yeah, I totally agree. Just being able to find a tool that helps you manage your money like better, and yeah, it just opens up so many more doors in your life that make it so much more pleasurable. And so my last moment, this is something that's been going on a bit longer, but yeah, one of the things that, since I moved out here, and as I said, my big goal was, just completely shaking up my life, like trying out, so many new things, just, seizing life by the moment and just making the most of it. And just all the transformations that I mentioned that I underwent, fitness, like nutrition, like just maturing emotionally, maturing socially, all of that. The thing that, was one of the big end goals for all of that was finally getting back out into the dating world, because I dated out in Eastern Washington. Not a ton, but towards the end I lost interest. But once I moved out here and just realized all the stuff that I wanted to do and the best ways I was going to go about it, that's one of the things I'm striving for, is actually making enough of a new life for myself, forging enough of a new personality for myself that I can go out into the dating world with just this renewed vigor. And I feel like over the past several weeks, I have finally felt in the position, you know what, it's time. And yeah, I finally went out and made an online dating profile and put a lot of effort into it. And yeah, have been really satisfied with the results, have been sending out messages and have been just really engaging with it. And yeah, even if actually getting responses, especially for men on this site, can be a bit of a challenge. But even just the fact that I'm still engaged with it, that I still see it as a worthwhile outlet, and that I haven't lost confidence or any of that, to me is just by itself such a major milestone. And coupled with that too is the realization over the past year, just with so much more kind of clarity, what I want out of a romantic relationship. And with that confidence behind me, that really helped me focus my profile and really helped me pinpoint the profiles that I do want to message. And yeah, it just gives me the confidence to go, okay, this message chain didn't work out, or okay, these dates didn't work out, but you know what? I'm a cool person. I will succeed eventually. And yeah, I will find something that works for me and find relationships that matter to me. And yeah, I've been continuing that over this past week too, and I'm really proud of myself about all that. I'm really excited to see where it goes.
I can see why you're excited. That's very cool. Yeah. Okay, so there's this project that I've been working on. It's a podcasting project. Someone else is helping me produce this. And it's so exciting. It's really fun to be working with somebody else and to be working with someone else who really gets me. Oh, it's so fun. I love it. I love that creative chemistry.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, the way that we can flow back and forth. It's so good. Anyway, I found some really yummy new places of alignment about the project today. I've gotten a lot more good ideas. I found the outline has been filling itself out. I'm getting some feedback from other people about what seems to be a good direction to go. So it just feels like it's taking shape. It feels like it's coming into being something that's pretty exciting and heartfelt and totally unique, and that I'm going to be proud of. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I love having that creative flow moving through me.
Especially with someone else. That's a special kind of connection where, yeah, you're both on the same wavelength. You're both coming up with ideas that really improve the project that you're working on. And then by the end of it, not only can you say, oh, this is both ours, develop that bond, deepen that bond with the person that you've collaborated with.
Yeah, it's juicy. Is that all of them?
Yes.
That was fun.
It was.
Thank you, Eli.
All
right, we'll see you another day.
Yes. Thank you so much, Rebecca. It was a pleasure.
Bye. Hey, pleasure seeker. Well, that's it for today's conversation. Here at Pleasure Central Radio, we love using conscious communication, science geekery, and copious amounts of true pleasure to improve our partnerships, our money, and our love lives. And we hope you do too. If you loved what you heard here, we'd love a review. You can listen to other episodes of the podcast and read thought-provoking essays or poems written by me, Radiant Rebecca, by checking out the blog on pleasurecentralpodcast.com. Sign up to hear about new episodes immediately at pleasurecentralpodcast.com. Thanks for listening to Pleasure Central Radio, hosted by me, Radiant Rebecca. My guest today was Eli. Technical production is by me. I get significant creative feedback from my beta listeners group. For this episode, special thanks goes to Tom and to Sam. I look forward to your company on the next episode.